Here we have the Morimoto V2 headlights for 10th gen Civics. I've been running the V1 of their headlights, so I'm excited to see what changes they made. Let's get to unboxing. We have some color plugs and the wiring harnesses. You can immediately see that they moved the DRL to the top of the headlight and changed its shape. The low beam housing looks really premium on these. I really like the way they cleaned up the wiring on the back. The V1 are a bit messy with a bunch of dangling wires. Here are the mode selector plugs that we'll discuss later. The V1 came with harnesses for non-LED equipped cars, but the V2 comes with harnesses that you're going to use regardless. Let's take a look at V1 to refresh your memory. And a quick side-by-side comparison. Alright, let's get the install going. So step one obviously requires removing your bumper. I'm on the VARS bumper, so it's going to be different than your OEM, but there's lots of guides out there on how to remove the OEM bumper. With the bumper removed, you'll have access to all the bolts holding the headlight in place. There are two on top, one here and one here. They all require a 10mm socket. Underneath the headlight are two more bolts. You'll need some extensions to reach these since the crash beam is in the way. I'm on the Antigravity bumper bar, so they're easy to access, but the OEM crash beam is really thick, so you're going to need a couple long extensions. The last bolt holding the headlight in place is this one over here by the fender. Ignore the fact that I'm cutting a zip tie. I just use it to hold all the wires together on the V1. Take a look at all the wires on the V1. The V2 are much cleaner than the V1. Switching modes is easier also. On the V1, you had to unplug these to have sequential turn signals and then plug them in for standard turn signals. Anyways, let's get the headlight off and move the brackets over. The brackets are held in with two bolts, and those also require a 10mm. Just a heads up, these tabs that hold a bumper are prone to breaking easily, so make sure they're all intact or your bumper may sag when you reinstall it. Reinstall the brackets onto the V2 in the same exact position. I realized after installing the driver's side that it's easier to install the Morimoto harness now before bolting the headlight to the car. The harness is really easy to install. The male end plugs on the harness will only match up with the designated female plug on the headlight. Now all you need to do is plug in the 8-pin connector from the car here and the 3-pin connector here. The best way to line up the headlight is to move them slowly towards the car while lining up the top two bolt holes. By now you've seen the blue plug dangling, and that's one of the 4 plugs that change the headlight modes. Now with the headlight in place, we can tighten up the bolts, and here's the final product. So the green and black plug will give you amber DRL with this startup animation. Here's a green plug with the amber DRL and fading turn signals. And then the black plug with the amber DRL and sequential turn signals. The red and blue plugs will give you white DRL with this startup animation. Here's the red plug's DRL and the fading turn signals. And lastly, the blue plug with the white DRL and the sequential turn signals. It's only been a few hours and these are really growing on me. I didn't think the V1 could be topped. Let's check out the output. So as expected, it's much brighter than V1 because all 4 LEDs are lit up for low beam. So the headlights officially launched today, and looking at the pricing at $785. That is ridiculous. This set of headlights I thought would be over $1,200 because competitors with headlights for the 10th gen all have it priced around $1,200 to $1,300, but $800 is insane. In conclusion, I didn't think I'd like these headlights. I really didn't want to like them because I love the look of the V1s, but with the startup animation, choice of amber DRL, and the extra fading turn signal option, these are drastically improved over the V1. Even the modes are easily changed within seconds. After a couple months of running these headlights, I love them. I highly recommend them to you guys, and to prove it, I actually sold my V1 Morimotos. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications because I've got some really cool content coming soon.